Hey guys, welcome back. So in this tutorial, we're going to learn about variables, and why variables are important is because they help you store data that you want to use later on in your program. So the way a variable works is if I have I'm making a game and I want to save a user's score, what will happen is I'll store that value in a variable. And basically, if you want to know what happens in the background is when I store that value on a variable, it basically saves that to the RAM on your computer to use later on in your program. But I'll just show you how we can make variables in Java. So first of all, you need to declare the type of your variable. So suppose if I want to make a variable that holds integers, which are basically whole numbers, I'll write int num is equal to 6. And if I want to print out that number, we can use the same command we learned it in the previous tutorial, system.out.print, println num. And if I run that, it'll print out the value of num, which is 6. But one thing to keep in mind is you can't put the wrong type of value into a variable. For example, like this num is an integer, so it can only hold integers, so I can't put a decimal in here, or else an error will pop up. See, incompatible types. And there are many different types of values in many different types of variables. So there are strings, which just basically holds a list of characters. So if I want to write string name is equal to Joe, there are doubles, which hold decimal values. So double num2 is equal to 43.26. Another value is floats, and they just hold fractional values. So float num3 is equal to 22.33. And there are a bunch of other different types of variable types. But another thing I would like to talk about is I forgot you need the F at the end of floats. But another variable type I would like to talk about. Another thing with variables I would like to talk about are operations with variables. So suppose if I wanted to add on to num, I would just write num is equal to num plus 8. It'll add 8 to the value of num, and then that'll be the new value of num. Oh, I forgot the semicolon. Silly me. Make sure you always put semicolons at the end of your statements because they tell Java where your statement ends. And operations will do different things with different data types. So for example, if I have a string name, if I wanted to write my name is, and then I wrote string name2 is equal to, I don't know, John. I like the J names. Then if I wrote name1, string name3 is equal to name1, name plus name2. What it'll do is it'll basically, what we call in Java, concatenate the strings. So that's just a big word for combining the strings together. If I print that out, you'll see it'll print out my name is John. And the reason why there's no space here is because there's no space between here and here. So if I put a space here, it'll add a space. And you can do all different types of operations with numbers. So another thing I would like to talk about is dividing with integers. So I told you earlier on in this tutorial that integers must remain, you can't store like a decimal value in an integer. So what if you do something like num is equal to num divided by 4. You know 6 doesn't divide into 4 fully. So what it'll do is it'll take the full value of this division and round it down. So you'll see. Ooh, oops. I forgot to switch this. I erased name 3, so that's why it's saying I can't find the value of name 3. So see, it'll round it down to 1. So for example, if I go to Google and I do 6 divided by 4, you get 1.5. So what Java will do is round that down to a whole number because this is an integer. But if I made this a double and I made this 6.0, and if I did 4.0, then it'll keep it as 1.5. So I think that's enough for this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one.